shitty looking picture on this camera. Not that great on this camera. Where do I need to go? I'm not in my normal setup. It's going to take an extra minute. All right, mute this. Copy that. Let's see, where do I go now? What do I gotta do? Open this. What's up, everybody? I'll be with you in a second. Not on my normal setup, so it takes a few extra minutes. Why won't you paste? Here we go. Save. All right, that worked. Now one more place. General. Let's see, at everyone. We are live on YouTube. Almost done, guys. Send it. Paste. Send it. All right, good, done. All right, let's go. Let's get back. All right, there's everybody's beautiful face. What's going on, everybody? We ain't done a live in a minute. Oh, yeah, man, we were sick for like a week and a half, but not as bad as last time we had COVID. Got better way quicker this time. So how's everybody been doing? I was trying to keep up with all the questions and stuff. I didn't feel as bad with this time when I got COVID. It's the second time I had COVID, but it wasn't fun either. Like it was mainly like body aches. It just sucked. My daughter got strep on Sunday. My son got COVID on Tuesday. I got COVID on Thursday, and then my wife got it on Saturday. It was fun. It was like ding, 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 ding. It's a good week. But as you can see, we are not in our normal setup. We're actually in my wife's office right now. It's actually my massage chair, but it's this is my wife's office, and so we're not in our. I'm not in my normal area. My accountant who's doing my taxes for the year, taxes. She's in my normal office, so I'm down here. This is not my style of decorating. This is kind of like what the house looks like, though, is this style decoration, except for my grow room and my streaming room. Oh, yeah, it's been a minute since we did a live, dude. We've been so busy. Just got over that last week. I feel it. Yeah, it was not fun. I got some monoclonal antibodies and started immediately feeling better, so it was good. If I use distilled water and have to add CalMag every watering, yes, you will have to add CalMag every watering if you use distilled. So when I transition to flower and cut it off to use mag sulfur in week 4, you will start doing that. Do you give them a bit of both for the week off? CalMag slowly? No, I just transition. So if I'm going to water, and let's say I'm on the last day of week 3 of flower, then they get CalMag. But if I don't water till day 1 of week 4, there's no transition. I just switch over. I don't pick up the CalMag bottle anymore, and I grab the mag sulfur bottle instead. So I just think of it as like walking through a door. So if any time you're like, oh, but in 2 days it'll be week 4, and I should be using the mag sulfur, is the wrong way to think about it. Think of it as like there's a door right here in front of you, and before you get to that door, if you're watering, there's a threshold. So before you get to that door, you have to water CalMag. This door is day 1 of week 4, but the second we cross through that door, we don't ever pick the CalMag up again unless we're making seeds, but that's a different story. And if we're just growing flower, then it's mag sulfur the rest of the time. Finally able to try my PFG. Oh, buddy. Cherry Atomic Sledgehammer are already smelling, and they're still in the solo cup. Yeah, dude, there is something crazy. There's something crazy that happens with Cherry Atomic Sledgehammer. It grows so fast, and it's something is up with that strain. We'll definitely be taking that strain all the way out to Gen 8 of it, F8, whatever you want to call it. So there's definitely something that happens with Cherry Atomic Sledgehammer. It's fucking crazy strain. Do you chop with lights on or off? It doesn't matter. I chop with the lights on so I can see. Dun, dun. What's up, Red Pill? Mm-hmm. Why does the fucking went to top chat again, you piece? I want just live chat. Just stay on live chat. It like messes up all my questions. It like flips everything around. It'll like just be in live chat, normal, cycling up, and then all of a sudden it'll switch to top chat and it just deletes my whole chat, and then I have to restart the whole thing again. How often can we expect a podcast episode? I don't know how often. It's just whenever I feel like doing them. So I don't really won't have like a schedule. This isn't going to be like a channel that is like strictly podcasts or stuff like that. It's just whenever I find a subject interesting, or if I find somebody's, grow or something interesting, we'll have it on there. But it's nothing where it'll be like a set schedule. What's up with this Hey Abby grow box? Look it up. All right, hold on. Hey Abby grow box. These little boxes are always trash. They're always junk. Those like smart grow boxes, they're always tiny. The lights are always super close. Those things are always trash. They're always like super expensive and trash. Don't waste your money on that kind of shit. That's always you're always going to waste your money. Those boxes are tiny. The lights are so short, and the space that they have the plant in. Don't waste your money on that kind of stuff. Just you'd be way better off just buying a 2x2 tent for like $50, putting a super cheap light in it. You'll get way more, and you don't have to worry about all that crap that's in there. Yes, magnesium Epsom salt is the exact same thing as mag sulfur. And GT, I have 6 plants in a 2x2 in flowering. Is it okay? Yeah. What people don't get is it's all about how big you let the plants get. So like if I put 6 plants in a 2x2, I might let them only veg for like a week and then take them out of their solo cups, put them into 1 gallon pots, and the 1 gallon pots as big as I'm ever going to put them in because of the limited space of the 2x2 tent. On the same, that's why I always tell people your plant count when it comes to the size of your tent is kind of irrelevant. God, this fucking lighting sucks. Can I turn this up some more? Sorry, my lighting is really annoying me. Let me turn that up a little bit. Oh, it's a little bit brighter, but goddamn, it's like I'm in a scary movie. Let me tell you a story. But it's the plant count's kind of irrelevant. The only thing plant count changes is your veg time. So if you have a high number of plants, let's just say in a 2x2, your veg time is going to shorten way up, but your workload is going to go up because you're training now 6 plants instead of just 2 plants that you would normally have in a 2x2. On the converse, if you put 1 plant in a 2x2, your veg time will go up. Your end yields, though, will be identical, whether you're running 6 plants in a 2x2 or 1 plant in a 2x2, because there's only so much. You're limited by the space, not by the plant count. Now, if you were outside, it's a lot different because you have unlimited space for them to grow, so your yield goes up with the increased plant count. But when we're growing inside of a tent, whether I have 2 plants in a 4x8, or if I have 20 plants in a 4x8, my yield will be identical no matter which one I do, because you have seen pictures of me. I filled up an entire 4x8 with 2 plants, just boom, boom, one on each side, and they filled up the entire, one plant took up a 4x4 section, the other plant took up a 4x4 section. The yield is identical whether I had 2 plants filling up the whole 4x8 or 10 plants filling up the whole 4x8, because we're limited by space and, as long as you're filling out the space. It is way more difficult to fill up those big tents with single plants because it's a lot of training. It's a lot of veg time to get them that big. But the yield is identical. but the workload does go down a little bit because you're only dealing with watering 2 plants instead of watering 10 plants, or lollipopping 10 plants, or training 10 plants. I mean, there's pluses and minuses. The styling, profiling, limousine riding, kiss stealing, wheeling, dealing, son of a gun. And I'm having a hard time keeping these gators down. You have the 2-gallon pots. With the 2-gallon pots, they can get a little bit bigger. I like to use the 1-gallon pots to kind of keep their size limited. But if you keep them in there for a while, they will get bigger and bigger. The thing is, by the end of the stretch, you just don't want to be so overcrowded that you don't have anywhere to flare them out, and they only grow up, because whenever they only grow up, they run into, they run up towards the light, and you don't have any side area to keep absorbing the stretch in, and then they'll run into the light. Calling me. That was the wife. Let me message her real quick. Look at your text. Stop calling. I got 5 on it. Dun, dun, dun. So, okay, that distracted me. Let's see. Do you dislike the most fuzzy sticks or a loose, crooked scrognet? What do I dislike most? Fuzzy sticks or a loose? I dislike both, but I really dislike a loose, crooked scrognet because there's zero reason for them to be not laser straight, because that is 100% on you. I mean, there's zero reason for them never to be laser straight, because you're the one that's adding it and then sliding it down, and there's zero reason for that. GT, I'm finding a few seeds as I go through my project. I did remove the males from the tent early on. How did the seeds come about? Are they viable for planting? So if you weren't trying to make seeds, then you don't want to add them. You don't want to ever grow them, because if you weren't trying to make them, that means they were grown or they happened from stress, a stressor that you induced or that was accidentally induced, like too much light or whatever like that. So that'd be a good spot. I just have nowhere to set this thing. So you don't ever want to plant those. You just want to throw them away. We got those, yeah, we just throw them away. Don't ever plant them. GT, I'm about to switch my first run into flower. All thanks to you, brother. Oh, man. What's up, Brian D? Congrats, brother. How long does fox forum soil usually stay good for when you have it stored? I don't like to, if I'm going to have it, I don't like it sitting out longer than like 6 to 8 months. I don't ever have that problem because I go through it really fast. But like 6 to 8 months, you'll be fine. Oh, my goodness. Stop messaging me. I'm working. GT, I just harvested both my PFG2s that I grew for the first photo grow. They both came out beautiful. One was super purple and a real powerhouse. Much love for all the help and great genetics. Hey, man, love it. East Coast buds. Appreciate it. Yo, GT, hope all is well, bud. Hey, thanks, man. Getting better. Hey, GT, how do I get exotic bird food? My VIP Patreons get it absolutely free. And your parrot will love it. How many plants can you grow in a 2x4 tent? Okay, we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but you can grow for, your plant count is kind of irrelevant. The only thing that changes is your veg time. But if you could grow 1 plant in it, I don't recommend growing 1 plant in a 2x4 unless you've really mastered growing and training very well. But on average, let's say we wanted to go to a 3-gallon pot and save room for our tower fan over on the side. 5 plants is really good. You'll have a decent veg time to where it's not too long, not too short. You get a chance to do some training, but you don't have to be so good at training that you really have to stay on top of it. So I always tell people start with like 6, and then when you get to the point where they're flower and they're bigger, decide which one you want to kill, and then flower 5. So that's a good safe number. And your transition will go from the cubes to the solo cups to the 1 gallons, and you'll stay in your 1 gallons through veg, and then you will switch into your 3 gallons the day you're going to go into flower. Mm-hmm. Does light-hermed female plants always produce female seeds? Well, they will all be female, but they will also all be herm seeds, and all of the seeds that you plant will also herm, and so they're junk seeds. So anytime you're not purposely making the seeds are trash, because it is baked into their genetics to where they will always make seeds, and they'll be shit seeds every generation, and they will your THC levels will be down, and your bud production will be down, because those plants will always make seeds. Bag seeds can be hidden gems, but they can also, you don't know what they're going to produce either, because if they were a bag seed and it was caused by a stressor, then those seeds will always make seeds, and you won't ever get the top shelf bud that you're looking for, because anytime the second the plant starts to make seeds, they stop their bud production, or nearly as much bud production as they could have, because once they are making seeds, the plant turns all of its attention to growing and making seeds instead of growing and making bud to attract pollinators to come to that flower to bring them pollen. That is how we get the bud production to be so much, is because we're denying them pollen. So in response to that, the plant keeps getting bigger and stickier and making more and more trichomes, trying to attract pollinators. And since we're denying them the pollen, the plant keeps swelling to increase its chance of attracting pollinators or to catch pollen on the wind, because bigger surface area, bigger chance to catch something, or the bigger the smell, the more oily it gets, the better chance it has to attract something. And since we're denying them that, the plant keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, keeps swelling up the buds, which is what we want to get the max yield out of a plant. Hit that like button. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. GT, I've been gone for a while and have missed out on some of the new bird food. I have the cash and PFG2. Can I? Yeah, so any merch purchases over $30 come with free presents, come with free surprises. So take that from that what you will. So if you go to WTTGT.com, you will be able to, any merch orders over $30 come with free prizes. Can I reuse my soil from the last grow? Can you, or should you? Can you? Absolutely, yes. Yes, you can. You just will re-amend it with some kind of dry amendment like Gaia Green, Dr. Earth, whatever you want. I don't care whatever one you pick. They all work. You just pick out whichever one you want. You will re-amend your soil and then replant it. You'll start off with something like a grow formula, like a 444, and then whenever you go into flower, you'll re-top dress your soil. And you will go with one of their flowering ones, like a 488 or a 288, or it varies from company to company. Dun, 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 dun. Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Sunday, GT. Thanks, Paul. Are you the guy that's in France, Paul? I think I remember. It's the last name I remember. Are you the one that's in France? What's up, GT and fellow Spartans? I have Cherry Atomic Sledgehammer in clear cups inside regular cups. Yeah, that works. And I can honestly say the root development is unlike any strain I've ever seen. Yeah, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about with Cherry Atomic Sledgehammer. That strain grows like it's insane. When's the next drop going to be? Probably on 420. It will either be Spartan Sour Diesel or Spartan Skunk OG. I haven't decided which one's going to drop first, but it'll be one of those two, and then we'll probably follow up the next month. So for the people that join the Patreon this month, there'll be a drop in April and there will be a drop in May. I'm probably going to do one of those 2 month-to-month back-to-back drops again for the 2 newest insane strains. The skunk smells insane. It smells fucking crazy. It is the strongest skunk smelling strain I've smelled in 15 years. So for people that have joined the Patreon this month, as long as you get in this month, then you'll be able to get the drop for April and the drop for May. Can I get an oh yeah? Copy. And for the people looking to join the Patreon, there's a link right there. I will pin it to the top of the chat. Pin, piece of shit. And there we go. So there's a link to the Patreon. That's how you join. Any of the VIP tiers get free stuff. The cash grows like a beast. Yeah, the Cherry Atomic Sledgehammer is insane. I almost feel like the people that were growing Cherry Atomic Sledgehammer had a distinct advantage in the contest over other stuff. Skunk is this one is definitely not good for stealth. If you are looking for stealth, stay away from the skunk. The new skunk one, because it is insane. Could you cover different Cal Mags having different ppms per milliliter per gallon? I can, because it doesn't really make a difference as far as, well, this ppm, let's say we have Cal Mag and we have Cal Magic, same thing, 2 different brands. And let's say Cal Mag is 300 ppm per 5 milliliters, and Cal Magic is 250 ppm per 5 milliliters. All you really care about, the milliliters that you're adding per gallon, is kind of like a side note. What you're really mainly concerned with is getting the correct ppm for the plant size that you're working with. So if I have a smaller plant and I'm only shooting for 100 ppm, I will just adjust my milliliters per gallon till I check them with my ppm pin and they're at 100 ppm per gallon. I don't really give a shit if I added 2 milliliters per gallon or 4 milliliters per gallon. All I care is the end result says, yep, it says 100 milliliters from my small plant, or if I'm working with a bigger plant, it says 400 ppm per my bucket of water. So rather the milliliters, it's just some brands you will use more, some brands you will use less. Use whichever one you feel comfortable with. It's all the same shit. Do you still have more cash? Oh, dude, I got a ton of it. And right now, I just planted yesterday. I just planted PFG2 and I planted cash again. And we are going to be doing a cross with PFG2. So we will be making 3rd generation PFG, and we will be making 2nd generation Cherry Atomic Sledgehammer. My strawberry mimosas are growing like you described the cash. Oh, nice, dude. That's awesome. Skunk is stealth because it smells like dead animals. Yeah, but if you live in an apartment complex, you might raise some red flags. Like, why is there dead skunks on the 3rd floor of our apartment complex? What the hell's that guy got going on in this motherfucker? Best patron in the game, baby. We do have the 2nd biggest cannabis Patreon in the world. There's only one person or one group that has a bigger C-word Patreon than me, and that's Dude Grows channel. They have, I think, last time I checked, they have like 1,300, and I'm usually between 650 and 750. Hey, GT, how can I get dense nugs? Dude, you have no idea how many times per week I am asked this question, and the answer will always be the same. Density is the last thing you will learn and achieve as a new grower. So density comes from timing. Everybody, oh, well, hello. Did you come see your dad? Hello, Bella. How are you? Good morning. You want to say hi to everybody? You want to say hi? Oh, thank you. Did you come to see? Did you come to see your dad? Mwah, thank you. Oh, thank you. Say hi. It's Bella. She come to see her dad. Say hi, Bella. You come see your dad? So the biggest thing for density, people think it's adding the most amount of stuff that you can physically jam into the water, turning the lights up as high as you can get them. And it's not. That is not the answer. That's the answer on how to burn your stuff up and get lower quality bud. That's the only other thing that's a recipe for. So the answer on how you get true density is by giving these plants not too little and not too much of nutrients, not too little, not too much of light, and not too little, not too much of water. By finding that balance of that like zone, think of it as like a pH scale. If you go too low, it's too acidic. You go too high, it's alkaline. Both bad for us, for plants, for everything on this planet. But you know where the good zone is? Right there in the middle. And you have to find that balancing act of not too little food, because then they don't grow because you've starved them, and not too much food because then they burn up because they've got too much nutrients available in their soil. Not too little light because then they grow and get stretchy and you lose your density, and not too much light because then they're stunted and they can't grow up because there's too much light and you put a ceiling over their head and they can't grow into it and it burns them all up and they run through the nutrients faster. Not too little CO2, not too much. It's all a balancing act, and you find it by doing this over and over and over again. It's one of the reasons that I am such a big proponent of people taking extremely detailed notes. And since we're going to be doing this on a progressive schedule, you start at the low end. You don't start with the max that you are going to try and give them, because then you don't know, well, it was too much. And once you've added too much, it's too late to go back. You can try and wash it out, but the damage has already been done. So you start on the low end. What is the amount of light that I can give them? What's the lowest amount of light I give them before they get stretchy? Well, last time in week 2, they got stretchy a little bit in week 2 of flower, but I was still at 10% of my light. Okay, so this time we're going to do 25% of my light. Okay, perfect. Look, that was great until we got to week 5 of veg and they started getting a little tall. So now whenever I go back for my following grow, I will know, hey, at week 2, this was the perfect amount of light at 25%. But if I go to week 5 of veg and I'm still at 25%, they get stretchy. So that means week 4 veg, I turn it up to 50% light. And you do this through experience. And this is the true way you will get, we call it finding your baseline. And then you can start slowly turning the dials up on everything. And it's the only true way to add density. Can you luck into it sometimes? Yeah, sure, of course. But if you want consistent grows after grow each single time, this is the only true way to sneak up on it. And consistency is the name of the game, because you can get lucky every once in a while. I'll be like, I had a really good grow, but then I had 2 shitty grows, and then I had a good grow, and then I had a shitty grow and a shitty grow and a shitty grow. That is not what you want in this game. I want consistent returns for my 4 to 5 months. I don't want to waste 4 to 5 months. Oh, that was a shitty grow. Every single one of my grows are identical. It doesn't matter what strain I have. It doesn't matter what genetics. Well, it kind of matters what genetics, because I grow all my genetics now. But even before, you can go through my Instagram for years. They all look identical. Full tints, giant colas, front to back, side to side, 2 foot deep. They're identical every single time. That's why I always tell people your plant count doesn't matter, because you get the same thing. So, that last video, I had a little bit of pushback from people about the genetics. Like, no, genetics are the only way you get good looking strains. I don't care how good of genetics you buy. If you are hurting the plant, you will not get the return. The fucking genetics could be goddamn magic. And if you are hurting them, you will never get the density. You will never get the stacking that you want. You will never get the colas you want. I don't care if you just paid $1,000 for an original cut of roots or runts clones. It won't matter if you are messing it up. The grower talent portion of this determines 90% of your outcome. We'll say 10% for the genetics you have, but you are the determination of 90% of your outcome, how it comes out. All right, I'm off my soapbox. Repetition is the mother of all skill. Happy you're healthy and safe, GT. Should have been my first comment. No need to apologize, man. I feel fantastic now. Wasn't like my the first time I had COVID. The first time I had COVID, I was sick for like 3 weeks. It was rough. This time I was back up in like 7 days. So I'm going to do all GT strains in 2-gallon pots and do a whole GT line flower run at the same time. Oh, thanks, man. That's awesome. Dude, the PFG has gotten so popular that there is an entire like chain series of dispensaries now that carry PFG. And they called me. Well, they called the person that knew me and asked for my permission to put my little logo and stuff on there. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, run it. So they're like, do you want any money for the logo run? No, I don't need anything. Just, yeah, it's cool. I think it's awesome. Just became a Patreon. Oh, Broken Spectre. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Get a woo for the new Patreon. GT, what do I do if my new light is not dimmable? This is a tough one, especially for a new grower, because now you are going to have to adjust light height to dim by raising it up or increase light by lowering it down. And this brings in a substantial challenge for a new grower, because now if you bring in a par meter, which I don't ever like telling people that they have to buy equipment. It's one of my least favorite things. It's tough. So you're going to have to, if you're not good at reading your plant on what they're asking for, because the difference in 2 inches of light height is a giant difference on the amount of light that the plant is getting. And you're going to have to learn. Hey, stop biting my chair. She's chewing on my chair. Stop biting my chair, Bulldog. She's mad because I'm not playing with her. Someone ship him over to France. GT. Oh, gee, wait until you guys see the new logo that I've been working on. No, you guys aren't all Patreon members. I'll save that for Patreon. Patreon always gets to see them first, and I haven't even showed it to them yet, but it's fucking awesome. I don't do shipments to Canada, but there is banks that ship worldwide, and I'm actually putting an order together for them right now. I'm about halfway done putting the order together. It's a huge order, so they will be restocked soon. Did the beta testers test skunk yet? No, I haven't sent it out to the beta testers yet, but it's coming. GT, I'm growing cotton candy autoflowers and having a problem with my plant stretching. Yeah, that does not surprise me with autoflowers, because autoflowers are tough. Because you remember Giant Purple Monster? Yeah, I remember Giant Purple Monster. That was one of the mother plants for PFG. So 2 years VIP best Patreon on the planet. Yeah, so with autoflowers, it's a delicate balance, because with autoflowers, they are extremely finicky plants. So you give them too much light, you stun them, cost yourself 40% of your yield. You give them too little light, you stun them, or you get them stretchy and cost yourself 40% of your yield. So with autoflowers, and then you can grow the same thing over and over again. You can get a different result every time, because of the nature of autoflower seeds. So it's very difficult. All you have to keep adjusting your light to try and figure out your happy place for it. What's the skunk cross bird seed that you posted on Insta? So we have the original skunk strain that I got from a guy that has been growing it, and only it, for the past 20 years. He's started his farm in the early 2000s, and he has the original cut of skunk number 1, and he has been growing that and that alone for over 20 years now. So I think he started his farm in like 01, 02-ish time period. So it's been a little over 20 years. And he was just so in love with it. He never crossbred it. he's kept it original since then, and he knows how big of a fan of skunk I am. So he actually sent me like 100 of these seeds. The only rule I have is that I cannot just cross skunk number 1 to skunk number 1, because that'd be on like his territory. He's like, but if I wanted to use it to cross into my stuff, then that's the reason he sent it to me, because he heard me complaining that I like really skunky, like diesely strains and not like the super fruity strains. I don't mind the fruity strains, but like everybody's got their favorite stuff. And for me, it's like the super skunky diesely. I want it to smell like, when I open the jar, I want it to smell like somebody spilled 10 gallons of diesel fuel and there's 30 skunks in there having an orgy. So that's like, that's like what I'm looking for. So that guy had heard me talking about that, and he is like, hey man, I've got exactly what you're looking for. And then we became kind of buddies. So it was really cool. GT, the bank will kill us on price, probably on shipping. They're usually not too friendly on international shipping, but I don't ship out of the country. But if you find somebody in the U.S. and I can ship to them and they can ship to you, that's good. I don't mind that. Skunk ass. Take me back to 1978, man. I mean, that's like whenever, like the skunks were like the first thing, like besides like the Mexican brickweed that we used to get. The skunk was like really the first thing where you were like, as soon as you smell it, like, what the fuck is this? It's like, that's what it takes me back to. Plain and simple. If you want to win in your gardens, listen up, take notes from GT is the GOAT. Taught me everything I know. Thanks again. Hey, no problem, brother. Appreciate the kind words. I just tried, when I first started this channel, I was actually just, it was more of an annoyance, some of the stuff that I was seeing and some of the plants that I was seeing. And it was really just, it's me trying to get people to stop spending so much money, on $2,000 sets of lights and buying all this equipment and all this nutrient. I just want to show people, because if you look back at my old videos, it's literally just me growing pounds with fluorescent lights, just showing people like, look, you can do this with stuff you buy off of Craigslist. You don't have to get so crazy. Can you buy DWCs and hydro systems? Yeah, you can do all that, and it all does work. But I was just trying to show people that, look, you can also buy shit off Craigslist and grow in your closet and have amazing results also. So that was the main reason. Hey, what's up, Budsville? How you doing, brother? Happy Sunday. Dude, it's already Sunday. I've worked all weekend. This very well may mean that this is my very last transmission. I love you all. Keep Jesus Christ in your hearts and grow some tall trees. All right. I don't know what that's about. How's it growing? But I appreciate it. And I hope you're doing good, brother. Oh, let's see. Thanks, man. I have a gram-positive bacteria infection over my heart. I just love you guys so much. Thanks, GT. Love it, dude. I hope you pull through it, man. That's super scary. So I hope you pull through it, and I'm praying for you, brother. So I hope you make it through that great. So I hope it's not your last transmission. Let's see. Ding dong do. I'm a VIP patron. I was wondering what times you have available for consults. Message me on Patreon, brother, because it's extremely hard for me to keep track of. But I think I have openings on this Wednesday or Thursday. But message me on Patreon. Yeah, I got a few openings on Wednesday left. Monday and Tuesday are booked solid because they're too close to the day. And then I've got like 4 openings left on Thursday. So just message me on my Patreon. That's another nice part about the Patreon, guys. On the Patreon, instead of having all these people that you see in the chat here, we got 200 people in here. And if everybody could hit that thumbs up for me, it'd be much appreciated. Instead of having 200 people while I'm sitting right here talking to you, we do video calls where we sit down, just me and you. Any of the VIP tiers, just me and you. And all week long, I sit down just like I'm doing right here, and we video talk just like this, only there'd be a little picture of you, and my picture would be up here in the corner, and then your picture would be taking up my whole screen. And we go over your plants in real time. I'm like, oh, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to adjust. This is where you set your lights. This is where you do this. This is where you do this. And you get we do one-on-one video consults just like this. So any of the VIP tiers, what he was just talking about, the consults, we do them live. Well, not live with everybody watching, just privately live with just me and you. And I usually do those on the Discord or or Instagram. But the consults, I mean, every one of the people that are on my, I think there's probably over 1,000 people on my Discord now. It's probably way more than that. I haven't counted. I haven't looked in a long time, but it's we're literally just we just sit here and talk just with your plants. And some people are like, oh man, I'm super nervous about it. Dude, I'm literally a guy that grows weed and plays video games. So there's literally zero reason to be nervous. But yeah, any of the VIP tiers, they get that included in there. That's the main reason you be a fan of VIP. And your there's a link to my Patreon right there. It's the second biggest cannabis related Patreon in the game. Oh, I have met the man, the legend. Our beans, any orders over $30 come with free gifts, if you know what I mean. So any orders of merch from the merch site come with free gifts. Any orders over $30, and that includes shipping. So if, like, let's say you had a $25 order, and then or you had $25 worth of merch, and then with checkout after shipping and everything, you're over $30. That counts. So shipping counts towards your total. So it's not you have to get $30 over of merch and then add shipping on top. The shipping counts too. Dun, 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 dun. I'm crying. Thank you, GT. If that Romanian chick comes back, let her know I miss her. Dude, I have not. What was that chick's name? Elise or something? I have not seen her since that day. I think she might have come back one more time. After that, but I have not seen her since that. Wait, dude, that was like a year ago. That was funny as fuck. I've got a cut of contest plant in my small tent. She got a touch too big. It's a good problem to have. Damn fucking chat with their switching my shit up. There it is. I just flipped to flower. Thoughts on a second net technique? Yeah, so if I'm going to have to run 2 nets, let's say if you veg your plant, if you're doing a single plant, it makes it a little bit hard because you can't take a plant out. But if I got 4 plants and I veg too much, I can just take a plant out and get myself space back, and then I can take that one I took out, stick it in some other area, turn it into a mother, do whatever I want with it. But conversely, if I have 1 plant, let's say I'm in a 2x2 or 2x4, and I'm only growing 1 plant, you have a couple different options. So the first option is you can take some branches off. So you can strip your plant down a little bit, regain some of your room. It's a great option. Or the second thing I'll do is I will run a 2 scrog net system. I will put the first scrog net in day 1 of flower, bam, and then let them grow up through it. I will add a second scrog net 6 inches above it. And then as they grow up through the stretch, through that net, now if you're having multiple plants and you do this, it makes it a nightmare whenever you're cutting them out because all the plants are going to be interlaced, because since all of your scrog nets are full, whenever they're coming up, we have nowhere to lean them over in that first net. So we just let them come up through support. And then we use that first net to catch them. And then we flare them across whenever they're growing up through the stretch. So that way we can still use the double scrog net to absorb the stretch so they don't get stretchy and run into the light. And we will grab them with the second net and pull them over. If you're having 1 plant, this is no big deal. You have 6 plants and you're lacing them across each other. The nightmare that comes when you're cutting them down and trying to keep them whole plant, shoot me, because I've done it a few times. Because sometimes GT gets busy and doesn't flip his plants when he needs to, and he keeps them all in there. But whenever you lace them across each other so you can still absorb the stretch so they don't get too tall inside your tent, you can do it that way. If I'm only doing 1 plant, it's a great option. If I'm doing a bunch of plants and I don't look for that nightmare whenever I'm going to chop them down, probably just strip a few branches off, get yourself some space back. You'll find if you do that, you don't have to take off too many. Take off the outside, like the shitty perimeter branches, and gain yourself some room back. If my plant herms, I don't even finish them. I cut them down. I would say it would depend on when the plant herm, because the plant can herm anytime from between like week 2 of flower. If they herm that early, that sucks. And there's usually some kind of stressor happening. Or they can herm in like, if you have a plant that herms in like week 6 or week 7, I'm just going to leave it and chop it down. You're so close to the end. You've already got a bunch of size. It would be silly to cut down a plant that hermed on you in week 6 when you've only got, week 7 and week 8 left. And the seeds that you will get very tiny and inconsequential. Whereas if you find herms in week 2, yeah, I will cut those down, chop them, get rid of them, all that kind of stuff. And so it will depend on when they hermed versus just, they hermed, cut them down. They hermed. I'm in week 7. I've noticed a herm. Fuck that. You got a week or a half left. You can still get some nice product from that plant, even though it hermed. What flavor of gift? It's random. So it's random. It's just whatever I happen to grab. Because like right now we have Wooberry, we have Cherry Atomic Sledgehammer, we have Purple Frost Giant Gen 2, we have Strawberry Mimosa, we have Grape Cherry Punch, we have Jedi Council Kush, and I have they're all just lined up on the shelf. And while I'm packing the orders, I just reach over, grab one, and it goes in the order. And they're all feminized except for Jedi Council Kush, which are regular. So all the other ones are feminized. I'm learning about the stretch with my third grow. I kind of messed the first 2 up so they didn't stretch. One of my flowers now, oh my God, I understand the stretch. Yeah, it's really cool. This is one of those things where the more often you do it, as long as you're applying the correct information to it, whenever you do stuff and you can see the plant react, it's probably my favorite part of growing. So like I did that. I applied that technique and this is the outcome I got from it. It's really rewarding when you see that kind of stuff. So if your seedling stage suffered, watered late, would you start from scratch? Freddie, that's going to depend. If I am having a rough seedling stage, the nice part about seedling stage is if you fuck it up too bad, you're not so invested in it. We're like, oh yeah, I'm in week 9 of veg and I've really messed these up. So then you've had 4 weeks of seedling and 9 weeks of veg, and now you're just getting ready to yeet out freaking 3 months of your life, all that work. So the nice part about seedling stages, you're not too far behind. So if you want to throw them out, and so once again, this will depend on the severity of what I've been doing. So if the severity is, yeah, I've really messed these plants up a bunch of times, then I'll trash them. But if it's just like one mess up, yeah, keep going. ADHD, he's got his hands up. Grown up grows. ADHD, I'm scrolling back up. I see arrows pointing. I see a hand up. Mr. Awesome Badass. What's up, GT? Just got here, stuck in the office today. Oh, man, stuck in the office. Dude, I've been working all weekend. I'm pretty tired. The Patreon is worth every dime. You stand a lot of knowledge, a lot of people talking about gross stuff. I think that's more on the Discord. ADHD, I didn't see any questions. You're just waving. Oh, hi, brother. ADHD, one of my mods. Good to see you, brother. As always, Kenyatta, one of my mods. Good to see you, brother. So, it's just one of those things. My mimosa Clementin didn't stretch that much. Yeah, you're going to find that. So this is one of those things whenever I tell people I like to grow, like if I'm learning a new strain, I like to grow the same strain a couple times in a row, because you'll find that you'll have plants that stretch a ton. Like Cherry Atomic Sledgehammer usually it'll get 3 times the size of it in veg. So it stretches crazy. Jedi Council Kush is the same way. So you'll have ones that you stretch 3-fold, and then you might have one plant that instead of doubling its size, it goes up 25% in size. So if you grew it last time, you're like, oh, this thing only stretch is like 25%. Now you can adjust your veg time. Like, so that means I need to give it an extra week in veg before I flip it to flower, because instead of going to 50% of my floor coverage before I flip to flower, I know I need to be in that like 70%, 75% floor coverage range if I'm wanting to fill my tin out end to end, front to back, which is what we're going for, because why would we waste space? We learn that through experience. We're like, oh, this plant doesn't stretch nearly as much as this. But what will fuck you up is, what if it wasn't the plant not stretching because of it's in its genetics, which it is possible, that's very possible. But what if it was because you messed something up that you didn't know that you had messed it up, and the next grow you have fixed or learned something new, and now you have vegged them to 75%. And now, because you didn't make the same mistake you did when you were younger and less experienced, and now whenever you go to stretch, now you're running into an overcrowded garden because they did double in size. And how will you know which it is? Through experience, through growing the same strain a couple times in a row. I know nobody wants to do that, but this is for when you find that strain that you really, really like. Like the first time I smoked White Widow, I was like, this is amazing. And I did years of fine tuning my growing with just White Widow. And by doing it over and over and over again, you know, you learn these kind of things, and you can't learn it if you're constantly like, oh, I did this strain this time, this strain this time, this strain this time. I got 4 different strains going in the same tin. You're adding so many different variables to your grow. It's very hard to learn something whenever you keep switching in the inputs of your equation. You know what I mean? Like, 1 + 1 = 2, but the very next grow, instead of reinforcing that to make sure that was correct, you're like, well, 6a times 4b equals the Pythagorean theorem of F. You're constantly switching up your math problem, and it makes it hard to find those repeatable things where you're like, oh yeah, if I do this, this, and this, I get this. I do this, this, and this, I get this. And you do it a few times, like, this is repeatable. I have my baseline and I know it. And it makes it extremely difficult if you're constantly switching everything around in the problem. GT, how do I know when my seed crop is done? I'm in week 10 right now. So week 10 is a good time to start checking them. Week 10 is about usually whenever I'll start, you'll actually just grab pods off, and I will grab a couple from this plant, a couple from this plant, a couple from this plant, and then I will open them. And if they are all like green and white, or white and barely gray, I know I got 2 weeks left. But if they are all brown or gray, and some of them are tiger striped, I know they're pretty much done. So you will base it off a collection of seeds you pull off and open up the pods and see what color they are on the inside. When they are ready to go, the pod will actually split, and then you can see the tiger stripe seed on the inside. If your pods are still closed and you can't see anything in the seed, you got 2 to 3 weeks left. Well, if you're towards the end, if you're in week 10, you should start to see those seed pods split open, and you'll be able to like catch a peek of the seed inside the pod, and you can see if it's white, you can see if it's green, if it's gray. If it's light gray, it's about the earliest you want, because if they got any white or green on them, they're not ready yet. They still need to cook more. Oh, you piece of shit, chat. Can I just disable top chat somehow? I never want to use it, and it keeps flipping to it. This is a common problem that I have. GT, the great, just joined, sir. Excited to be a part of this. Hey, man, I appreciate it, especially since fucking YouTube doesn't allow us can of people to be monetized. Really annoying. They'll like give it to you for a few months, and then they take it away for a few months, and they'll like, hey, you're approved to be part of the. They've given it and taken it away 5 times so far. My channel's been monetized 5 times over the year and demonetized 5 times over the year. Pranks still mean they want a little bit more light? It would depend. See, everybody like wants these like definitive answers, and they're they're not available in this space. There's a lot of gray area in this. So are they praying? Yeah, they're praying. Generally, that does mean they want more light. But now we have to talk about the time of the day that we are seeing the praying. If they are still praying, and not just a couple leaves, like the whole plant will just pray up. If they're still praying like that, where they're pulling themselves up like that. Hey, babe, still on the live stream. What's up? They can't hear you, though. Yeah, all right. Call me when you're done. Bye. All right, so yeah, the search sell out really quickly. There's more coming though. There's some really cool ones coming for the 420 drop. But the Patreons get first pick over them, and they usually destroy the inventory. So the Patreons, they get 48-hour advance on the merch store before it goes out to the general public, and they demolish the shirt inventory every time. Somebody remind me what the fuck I was just talking about before my wife called, and then we started talking about t-shirts. Damn it. Oh, wait, it was light praying. Got it. So if the whole plant is praying up like this before the lights go off and it gets dark, then yeah, they're ready for the plant to be, or they're ready for the light to be turned up. But if it's the beginning part of the day, the lights just came on, or it's been a few hours and they're still come on, and they're praying, that is normal because they've been in the dark all night. The lights come back on and they will reach up for the light. So that's a normal thing. But if they're still praying at the end of the day before the lights go off, it's time to turn the lights up. Or otherwise, they're going to start getting stretchy. Just place an order. Can I get? Hopefully, you put it in the notes. So otherwise, it'll just be random. Because we get about, I don't know, 200 to 300 merch orders a week. The merch goes really fast. The merch order is very tough. I honestly need to hire somebody to keep up with the merch, because it really puts a strain on my time from week to week. On the big drops, it is, we get 700 to 800 orders in a week on the big merch drop weeks. Oh, awesome, man. I appreciate the merch orders, guys. Are Barry and PFG both 8-week strains? Yes, they were 8-week flowering strains. What you have to pay attention to, though, like, you have to remember there's caveats to this. So if you stunt your plants or slow them down in any way, you will lengthen out that time. But generally, yes, it's an 8-week flowering strain. Gonna try and fill a 4x4 with 2 cash. Would 5-gallon or 10-gallon pots be better? You can do it with either. It will be less work with 10-gallon plant or potted pots. God damn it. It'll be less work with 10-gallon pots, though. So the reason it'll be less work, because to fill up a 4x4 with 2 plants with cash, you'll be watering more often. Probably for plants that big, when 5-gallon pots around week 4, week 5 flower, you'd be watering close to every other day. Whenever I used PFG 1 and I filled up a 4x8 with 2 plants. So the plants were gigantic. There's pictures of me on my Instagram like this, and the plants behind me, and it's like this big. I couldn't stretch my arm across it. I'm like 6'2", and I couldn't stretch my arm across it and get to the other side of the plant. So it's going to be one of those, 10-gallon pots would be easier, but you have to watch not overwatering them in a 10-gallon pot. When they get bigger, that won't be a problem. But whenever they're younger and you're putting them to flower and you're going to be going in a 10-gallon pot, you're going to be very careful on the amount of days in between waterings, and you're going to have to watch that. Where do I apply for the merchandise position? Well, I imagine you'd have to live close to me, Manny. I don't know if you live that close to me. I think you're in Chicago, aren't you? But I do need to hire somebody to be a merch person. I hired somebody to do my shorts. So if you notice, the channel does put out about 4 shorts a week, which a couple people get really mad at. They're like, there's enough. Stop putting shorts. Everyone hates them. I'm like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. It's all about, if I could not pay someone to make shorts, that's the first person I've ever hired. And I, pay him he makes 4 shorts per week, every single week. So if I could get away with not paying somebody and not making shorts for the YouTube algorithms, because YouTube is really big on, making short and long form content, so that was the first person I've ever hired. I actually have, a employee that I pay to make shorts now. And I would really like to pay somebody to start running the merch site, because it takes up a lot of time and it keeps me from making as much content as I want, because it keeps me from making the content I want, because I'm so busy trying to keep up with the orders, trying to keep up with, like, when people mess up their order or they mess up their address and it gets sent to the wrong place, and then I have to chase that down. It takes up a lot of my time, and I don't get to put out as much content as I want, because I'm constantly working on, I'm definitely at a sticking point right now, because I actually, I have to close the Patreon every time it hits 750 members, because I can't keep up with everything. The merch store, the gardens, the snakes, the channel. It's a lot. Oh, let the PFG go 10 weeks if you want that fucking comatose bud. Seriously, if you're on the fence about the Patreon, join at Discord Beans. Make it worth the price alone. Thanks, brother. Appreciate that. Yoda, enjoy your wrench, brother. But I definitely need to hire somebody. The problem is that, especially with like this industry, like, trust is a very, hard thing to come by. So can't get my hands on a jeweler's loop. Dude, Amazon, $8. You get on Amazon and you can find them for $8. I think I paid $11 for one like 4 or 5 years ago. So they're probably a little bit more expensive now, but I think I paid $8 for mine. But you can get them really cheap on Amazon. The biggest thing is, I like the one that's 30 power and 60 power. So it's got 2 lenses on it, and I still paid $8 for it. It might have been 11, but I think it was 8, but I've had it for a long time. But I like the 30% and the 60% magnification with a light. And the biggest thing is, a lot of people don't know how to use them. So they'll like put them out and they're like trying to look for them. You put that up against your face and nose, and then you steady the bud that you're looking at with your hand, and then you make everything one piece. So that way it'll eliminate the shaking of the bud we're trying to look. So if you take your loop and put it to your eye, I bridge it off my nose and my eye, and then I rest my hand on my cheek. So that kind of turns it into one stable thing. So this isn't separate from all this. I plant my, this here, and I make that like 3 points of contact with my hand, and the jeweler's loop rests on my nose and my eyebrow. And now that's all solid. And then with this hand, I will take it and I will butt it up against here, and then it will be holding, like, I'll grab a couple fan leaves or whatever in front, and then I connect the two together like this, and I bring it right to here. And when you do this, it makes the whole picture way more stable. Welcome to Growth Day. Red Pill says, in flour, how long should I keep tucking in the scrog before just letting him go? Okay, so great. I actually just did a video on this. So whenever you flip your plants to flower, day 1 of week 1 of flower through the end of week 3 through the end of week 3, that is the stretch. So when you put your scrog net up day 1 of flower through day 21, that's the end of week 3, that's the stretch. You will tuck every single day. Every day you're going to walk in there like, oh, this one can reach a new square. Oh, this one can reach a new square. Oh, this one can reach a new square. Every single day you will reach in there and put your hands on the plant. It's the only time of growing I tell you that you have to go in every single day and touch your plant. Other than that, once a week is fine. So you will go in, do it, and do it, and do it, and do it. And you will do that every day for 3 weeks. At the end of the 3rd week of flower, you are done. Training is over. Week 4 of flower is a transition week, and they will be transitioning into week 5, week 6, and week 7, which is its bulking phase. So the stretch is weeks 1 through 3. Week 4 is a transition week. And then weeks 5, 6, and 7 are your bulking weeks. And then week 8 is its finishing week. Whew, that's a lot of talking. Great density information. Thanks, man. The density, we're probably going to be doing a video on it here pretty soon, because I get it's probably the most common problem people have. And as a grower, density is the last thing that you will ever come through. It's the hardest part of growing this, or of this. Good to see you, Vern. Thanks for hanging out. So the density question will always come up, because nobody wants to get little bitty buds and stuff. They want giant colas. And if you ever look at my Instagram or my old videos, I mean, you can see it's just giant colas for freaking days. Even my seeded runs, giant colas. And it all comes from timing. And that is where you will get all of your density comes from timing. And as you grow and as you become a better grower, it is a natural part of becoming a better grower. Is the density just comes. It is never something you will chase and achieve. It is something that will happen by refining your skills and becoming a better grower. The density is a natural byproduct of becoming a better grower. And it's one of the main ways you will be able to see this is working, this is working, this is working, this did not work, is by the density and bud size that you're getting. And I don't care how good of a genetics you buy, even though some of them are really good. In the end, it will always come down to you, your ability to take in information, listen to it, and not try to go overboard with your lights, with your nutrients, with your watering. It will always, in the end, come down to you, which a lot of people don't like, because that means they are the cause of them not getting the results they want. Not that they didn't have the newest light spectrum UVB or the new fucking nutrient that just came out, or I didn't have the sunrise sunset controller. That is what's keeping me from getting massive returns in yields. In the end, it comes down to your talent as a grower, and most people don't like to hear that. So it's way easier to be like, oh, well, I didn't get it because I didn't have these new 90-degree angle lights from fucking Bovita, or from fucking, whatever we're going to say. We didn't have, that's the reason. It wasn't me. It wasn't my fault. It was because I didn't have this new light. I didn't have this new nutrient. I didn't have the RO machine. I was using this instead of that. And it's way easier to cast that blame out than to self-reflect inwards and be like, I'm the fucking problem. But the nice part about it being your problem and not the equipment, not the $2,000 light is, since it's just you, it means you don't have to spend any more fucking money. It means you don't have to go buy that equipment. It means if all you could afford is some cheap fluorescent light that you found on Craigslist and you have a closet to grow in, you can still get this done and still have amazing results without spending a ton of money, which is the main reason that I made the channel in the first place. All right, soapbox off. Good morning, GT. How are you doing? It is not morning here, but I'm doing good. Closet grow in my closet with $100 Amazon worked great back in the day. Yeah, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly. How is the stinkers gas, the skunk gas going? It's going insane. Like, the wife's like, hates it. She fucking hates it. She's like, why are you doing this to me? She likes the fruity smelling strains. She's a really big edible person. She's not a big flower person. Please, GT, read my question. Okay, Jesus, find Paul Lee's question. Hold on. We're scrolling up, Paul. I'm on it. Paul Lee. I don't see your question, Paul. They need to do this so I can, if I highlight somebody's name, I can, find their post. Paul Lee, repost your question. I can't find it. There's too much chat. That's why he stresses writing everything down so you can learn every time to dial it. That's exactly correct. Don't try and reinvent the wheel every grow. Correct. Just follow proven steps and you will get proven results. The best, simple, complex system. Watching from upstate New York. Paul Lee, please rewrite your question. I scrolled up like a mile and I couldn't find it. There's too much chat. Yeah, I can't find it. I looked, Paul Lee. I can't find it, brother. Copy paste. Photone app, any good? I don't know. I've never used it. SOPs are everything. Do you water the last week or do you want it to dry out before cutting? Oh, great question, Brad. So it will depend on when in the week like they would need water. So if I'm in the first 2 days of week 8, and it also depends on my trichome development. So if I'm in the first 2 days of week 8, maybe the first 3 days of week 8, I will still give them a watering. But if I'm in the first 3 days of week 8 and I'm checking my trichomes and they are at the percent that I want, I am not going to water. I am going to chop them down. Even if it's a few days early, I'm going to chop them down because I'm at the trichome percent that I want. I'm like, oh, look in here. I got 5 to 10% amber. I'm chopping. If we come to where it's the end of the week, generally I'm not going to water because we're getting ready to chop them down unless my trichome development isn't where I want. Let's say I check the end of week 8, everything's mainly clear. I might have 1 to 2% amber. I am going to probably take them out to week 9. I will water again there. So it will depend. There's 2 factors. Timing is 1 and trichome development is 2. Trichome development is your biggest factor depending on when you cut them down and whether or not you would keep watering or not. Because if I got the trichome development I want, I am not going to water. I'm going to let them dry out a little more and then I'm going to chop them. If I do not have the trichome development I want, I'm going to water them and then keep monitoring the trichomes until it's time to chop them. Yo, GT, hope you had a great weekend. It's been a busy weekend. We're doing taxes. No big whammies. It's going to be bad. I hope not, though. Hey, GT, does the light progression scale change when moving to a veg tent, SF1000, to a flower tent? No, because I will try to best. I will base my light percentages off my flowering light. I don't subject them differently. So if like my flowering light is 1,000 watts and that would make it too easy. But let's say my flowering light is 600 watts and my veg light is only 100 watts. I will try to increase. I do 25% of my end light, not 25% of the smaller light. So I base everything off of my final light, not my veg light. What else, Smelly Dan? Hi, bro. Love your videos. Well, thank you. Maya is, I think, your name. Koi's Maya. All right, GT. The Eagle has landed at the first stage. Awesome to hear, brother. Glad they made it. This has got to be one of the most informative channels on YouTube, watching from Scotland. Hey, Triple, that is the other exact reason I made the channel, is for that reason. Paulie, no, that was what I was talking about. I already answered that question. Thank you for reposting it, Paulie. So, yeah, base it off your finishing light, not your veg light. So if I have 1,000 watt light in flower, my stage 1 will be 250 watts. My stage 2 will be 500 watts. My stage 3 will be 750 watts. And my final stage, my stage 4 in week 6 of flower will be 1,000 watts. But do not blindly follow a light progression schedule. You have to look at your plants. If you turn up your lights on sick, stunted, or shitty plants, your plant will get sicker, more stunted, or shittier. You don't blindly follow up. GT said week 3, turn this bitch up, and you've got sick, shitty plants. Whenever you are following those guidelines, those are for healthy, well-adjusted plants. If you turn your lights up, you will kill your plants if they are not ready for it. You will only turn your lights up whenever we give out those progression weeks, like weeks 1 through 3 of veg. Bella, stop barking. Weeks 1 through 3 of veg generally is your 25% of your finishing light. Weeks 4 of veg through 2 of flower, you are at 50%. Bella! Come here, Bella. Come here, Bella. Come here. Come here. What are you barking at? Come here. Stop barking. Stop barking. So weeks 4 veg through 2 of flower. Oh, thank you. Thank you. You will be at 50%. Week 3 of flower through week 5 of flower, you'll be at 75%. And then week 6, 7, and 8, your finishing time for your plant, you'll be at 100% of your flower. Thank you. I appreciate that. Will you please stop barking? Will you please stop barking? Oh, thank you. Will you please stop barking? Ever since she's been on she got put on a 10 slap, her head's gotten gigantic. She's huge. Her ego's out of control. Ever since she got added to the... Are the additives from Advanced able to burn your plant? So NPK is the main reason you will burn your plants. Too much nitrogen, too much phosphorus, and too much potassium are your main culprits whenever you're looking at, will this burn my plant? Generally, for like supplements, CalMag, Mag Sulfur, what else we got, like diatomaceous earth, any of the other stuff you're adding to your stuff, that is not something that will generally burn your plant. The main culprits for plant burn are NPK, your main feeding nutrients. Now, Jesus, for the love of God, GT said I could add as much of this as I want without burning them. That is not what I fucking said. Too much of anything is bad. Too little of anything is bad. What you really have to watch out for are like PK boosters, and those are so concentrated. Like whenever I did the video on it, I did a video on PK boosters. I had it saved on my computer for months because I knew exactly what was going to happen, and it did. You have to be extremely careful with things like PK booster additives because they will nuke your garden in an instant if you use a touch too much, because they are so strong. They are so much more concentrated. So let's say I was going to add a PK booster week 3 flower, week 4 flower. Let's say I'm going to add my PK booster and I have super healthy plants. If I put 3 milliliters in per gallon, and they'll be just fine. If I put 5 milliliters per gallon, when I wake up and I go into the tent in the morning, everything is going to be brown and dead. The amount of increased yield you will get from something like a PK booster is about 5% yield. In a commercial setting, 5% extra yield is hundreds of thousands of dollars. It is an acceptable risk to take. When you are in a 2x4 and going for 8 ounces of yield dry, half a pound, and you're like, I'm going to risk 95% of my yield to try to get a 5% bump on 8 ounces of dried product. Is that risk worth it when 1 milliliter of difference can make the difference between live, healthy plants and death? So tell me if that is worth it to you to risk for 5%. In a grow operation, when we're dealing with hundreds of pounds, it is an acceptable risk because it is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. When you are growing in your tent, a 5% bump is not worth the risk that those products carry. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. I would much rather see you go after, this is why I don't have a nutrient sponsor. This is why, because I say this kind of shit and then you're like, no, you can't say this anymore. I would much rather see you guys mess around with something like CO2, but I don't want you to bring CO2 in, because whenever you bring CO2 in and you are a new grower, you need to increase other things like nutrient profiles and your light intensity profile and how quickly you will turn them up, because the CO2 allows you to bring in more horsepower. And until you really get a handle on this, things like CO2 bottles from T&B, this is why I can't get fucking more sponsors. I mean, I could, but I refuse to fucking not tell you the truth. Whenever you bring these things in, you're supercharging an engine, and you might be, running on stock internals. And can you get away with it for a little bit? Yeah, you can sometimes. And then sometimes your fucking motor blows out the bottom of your block. So while those things all sound fun, and I know everybody wants max yield. I just want max yield. I want the most fucking possible that I can get. Slow down. Okay? Slow down. Learn your basics. Pour the foundation of your house before you start putting on the second floor walls. Okay? Get a solid foundation. Your house will thank you for it in the end. And I promise you, you will become a better gardener so much faster when you bring this down to its simplest form, instead of trying to constantly pull all these new things and additives and CO2 and just slow the fuck down. I'm telling you, the rate at which you will become a better and more proficient gardener is off the charts if you can just slow it down and bring it down to the basics. I promise you. All right. Fuck. Yeah, so as soon as you start mixing different things, your chances of burning shit up also go up. What are we talking about? We're talking about all of it. Gosh, this grow, my third, I haven't been able to turn my lights up past 25%. Purpling on the fan stems, end of week of flower. She's stretching, but no purple, so I slightly bumped the light. So Jason, you have to also watch this. So like if you're growing some of in the genetics, purple stems is actually part of its genetic code. So if I'm growing something like PFG2 or Cherry Atomic Sledgehammer, I could give that thing the littlest amount of light possible and as much CalMag as I want, and the purple stems are going to remain. So what you have to do, instead of looking at the top of the stems, look underneath. So if you look underneath, a lot of times the bottom sides of the stems will still be green, or they might be green with slight purple striping. And if you're seeing that, you're okay. But if the whole stem is purple, then that's a little bit different. So then you would be like, okay, this is too much, back off, or I need to add more CalMag. And the way you find out the answers to that is by growing it over and over again. Just make sure to drop a like, everyone. Slow down, calm down, relax. Seems like I have heard this before. Anyone else? Woo! Let's see. Got to know your genetics. Yeah, this is that's 100%. You know, you can't say the genetics don't make any difference at all, but the amount of difference that you as a grower make is gigantically overpowered over the genetics. Because I can take an extremely good grower and give him shittier genetics, and he will outgrow with those shitty genetics. A good grower with shitty genetics will outgrow a shitty grower with fantastic, best genetics on the planet. The shitty genetic with a good grower will win every single time. So it's all about grower talent. GT, your sour grape rock candy is my favorite strain I've grown so far. Oh, thanks, man. We ran out of that back in, I think it was like August. That one went really quick. All right, y'all. Well, I've been on here for like an hour and a half, and I'm going to call the wife and see what she wanted. She probably wants to go to lunch or something. So I hope you guys all have a fantastic rest of the weekend. All 226 of you, thank you for hanging out with me. We did a little bit longer of a live stream. Usually I cut them off after an hour. But usually, we haven't done one in a few weeks because it's been insane over here. But just want to do a little bit extra long of a one. And I'll see you guys all next time. GT out.